Okay, so these are Indian blue. Say hi, guys. Oh, good dogs. So, Indian blue are dogs, right? And what does that have to do with computers? Basically nothing. But they're cute and they're good examples. So, today we're going to talk about objects, and objects are one of the kind of crucial features of modern computer science. So, when you buy something from Amazon or another online retailer, right, your records in that computer system are stored in kind of a series of objects. So you as a customer are one object, and then you have properties, right? You have a join date and an email address and a password and a whole bunch of other properties. You also have some methods, like things that you can do. So you can place an order, or you can return something, or you can change your password, or you can um, delete your account, whatever. Right? All of those things are methods that the customer has. Then you also have some properties like orders, right? So each order is probably a different property, and each order itself is probably an object. The order object has properties that are things like numbers and like order numbers and totals and ship dates and tracking numbers and numbers of packages and methods like return one of these items, or order is delayed, or update tracking number. Like there's all sorts of stuff, right? So in order to make this as simple as possible, I've picked the simplest possible example. I'm going to define a class for dogs, and it's going to contain just a few things, right? So the way we define a class in Python is we just write the word class, and then we write the name of the class, preferably capitalized, and then a colon. And then after that, everything that's indented is going to be part of the dog class. Now, okay, and everything that's indented is going to be part of the dog class, and that includes properties and methods. Now, a class is the idea of a thing. So when I'm making a class, I'm not making a specific dog, I'm making the entire idea of a dog. When I want to make a specific dog, that's a different thing, right? So the dog class is the idea of a dog in general. Okay, so now this first thing looks like a function definition, right? Because it's def, and then it's this funny init, and then there's a self and a colon. And so this, if I was, if I was approaching this from my perspective of functions, I would say this is a function whose name is init that takes a self as an argument, whatever a self is. So init is the initialize method. Okay, now the initialize method is the way that you actually make a specific one of these things. So in my case, that's going to be the way I make a dog. Self has to be there. It has to be the keyword self. Don't use the keyword self for other things. It has to be the first argument anytime you're making a method. A method, PS, is just a function that's part of a class. So this is the initialize method. It takes a self as an argument. And when I make a dog, I'm also going to pass a couple things along. I'm going to pass along a name and a weight and a color. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the dog's name. And the way we're going to do that is, in order to declare a property, right, we need to say, okay, so for the instance we're talking about, right, so for the self that got passed to this thing, what we're going to do is we're going to do self.name equals name. And so that's taking the variable that came in this slot, so the variable that came in that first extra slot, and then we're going to set that to be the dog's name. And then we're going to do, similarly, we're going to set the dog's weight. And my comments are a little bit ridiculous here. You can just say list out what you're setting. So I'm setting the dog's weight, and I'm going to do that with self.weight equals weight. And then I'm going to do self.color equals color, right? And then I'm going to define another method here, and that's going to be just like a diagnostic say hello method. And my say hi method is just going to be for diagnostic. Okay, so my say hi method, I'm going to say define, and I'm going to define the say hi method, and that thing needs to have self as the first argument because they all need to have self as the first argument, and then a colon, and then here we're going to do a print, and we're just going to throw a formatted string in here. So we're going to say, in my formatted string, I'm going to say I'm name, and that needs to be self.name, right? Because the name is dependent on the instance, it's not a global variable. And this name variable that we created up here doesn't exist anymore because that's a property of that initialize method. So we're going to say I'm self.name. So let's see. So I'm a self.name, a self. Oh, that's a terrible sentence structure. I'm Indy, right? Just I'm using an example to format my string. So I'm Indy. I weigh self.weight pounds, and I'm self.color. I like to put one of these say hi kind of things into every object I write, just so that I can make sure that everything got populated the way I wanted it to. Okay, so I've got my say hi diagnostic done. It's telling me that unexpected end of file while parsing. So what's its deal? Okay, so let's just see if it works. Okay, so I hit run and nothing happens. And the reason nothing happens is I didn't actually make a dog. I made the idea of a dog, but I never made a single dog. Okay, so let's make us a dog. So the way you make a dog is you say Indy is a dog, and then into this spot I need to pass name, weight, and color. And the reason I don't need to pass self is that it's getting Indy as self. So Indy's going to be a dog, and he's going to have a name, and that name is going to be a string that's Indy, and he's going to have a weight, which is 68 pounds because he's a fat boy, and color is going to be a string, and he is a blue Merrill. Pretty sure that's how you spell Merrill. Okay, so and I'm going to change the string formatting so it makes a little more sense. I'm going to say that this and my coat is, right, to make it make sense with this kind of blue Merrill that I put in here. So now if I hit run, I again get nothing because now I made a dog, but I never told him to say hi. So if I want to tell him to say hi, I'm going to do Indy dot, and you see the list of things is coming up already. So I have Indy dot say hi, right? And so now if I hit run, I get I'm Indy, I weigh 68 pounds, and my coat is blue Merrill. If I want to make another dog, like I want to make Blue, and Blue is a dog, and Blue's name is Blue, and she weighs 28 pounds, and you can see it's nicely helping me with colors, and in Blue is kind of black and brown. She's actually also, she's a blue heeler, so she's kind of black and brown. And I guess these probably shouldn't be capitalized just given the sentence structure that I'm using them in. All right, so now I've made blue a dog, but if I run this, I'm still only going to get Indy talking. And the reason I'm only getting Indy talking is that I've only said to run the say hi method on Indy. So if I want to run the say hi method on blue, right? And blue, it nicely tells you is a dog. And I want to run the say hi method for blue. Now I'll get, I'm blue, I weigh 28 pounds, my coat is black and brown. Okay, so this is the very basics of how you make objects and what you can do with them. Well, okay, it's the very basics of how you make objects. So keep in mind here, there are some things. So the things are that Indy and blue are both instances of the dog class, which makes them objects, right? And then they have properties. Each of them has a name, a weight, and a color. And they have methods. Each of them has a say hi method, right? This result of that say hi method works a little, or it is different for each one because they have different properties, but the say hi method itself is shared, right? Every dog has the ability to say hi. They all say hi the same way, right? So if I make a third dog, it could also say hi this way. It's also going to need a name, a weight, and a color. I would really encourage you to not set properties for individual objects, but to set classes. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with objects, but right now, what I'm using this thing for is a wrapper, right? This is what's called encapsulation for objects. And so right now, this is encapsulating the three properties, the name, weight, and color, and the say hi method. So it's just kind of a wrapper that has those things in it. And that's going to be our use of objects for a good while here. We might get to inheritance by the end of the semester. We'll definitely get to inheritance and polymorphism by the end of the second semester. But for right now, I just want you to know objects are a nice way to encapsulate a bunch of stuff that are related, and you can have different instances of it. So I'm just going to throw in two last comments here. So on the two lines where I created Indy and blue, and then I call the say hi method on both instances, right? And that's just, that's all this is doing. So I'm gonna call this a day on that, and know that this is just kind of the very loose scrape on the surface of what objects are and can do, and we'll get better at it as we go.